of everything that has been put in place to ensure safety and security for all. We have invested $3.2 million in security for this season. We have compliance officers on the ground, we have road marshals, we have private security. Once you visit the Savannah, any of the festivals taking place throughout Trinidad and Tobago, they are visible and you feel that sense of security. And we have zero reported car thefts and incidents thus far. That will further be elaborated on by my colleague, Minister for Homeland Security. I would like to take the time now to point out that we have welcomed the Epic Carnival cruise ship to our shores. And of course, I would like to take the time to congratulate Mr. Johnny Mack, a proud son of Trinidad and Tobago. His vision was visible but powerful. We share our carnival culture with the world to bring the diaspora home to experience Carnival in its purest and most authentic form. By having Epic Carnival on our shores, they would have left Puerto Rico on the 11th of February, carrying over 2,000 guests and approximately 765 crew on that voyage. The ship docked in Port of Spain, and we have welcomed these visitors. Immediately after this press conference, I am due to be on board that ship. We all know that Trinidad and Tobago, as reported in Guardian Media, and this is recently as Thursday by Andre Sobers, we have a full house. What Epic Carnival cruise ship liner provides is more room because, as I stated when I did the press conference 2 weeks ago, that all rooms are full in Trinidad and Tobago. Now, this is a copy of the Business Guardian reporting just that all hotel rooms throughout Port of Spain is full to capacity. Now, Epic Carnival addresses this directly, transforming a cruise ship into what has been called Trinidad's first floating all-inclusive hotel. This is the kind of innovative thinking that our Carnival product needs. And of course, we welcome them to our shores. I would like now to move to what is going to be happening here tonight at the Savannah. At the Savannah tonight, we have Marshall Montano, Fantastic Friday. Today on Fantastic Friday, our very own son of the soil and cultural icon, Marshall Montano, will perform at the Flavor Food Village, right here at the Queen's Park, Savannah. Flavor opens at 4 p.m. and performances begins at 8 p.m. And of course, admission is free. Come one, come all. This is a deliberate act by the ministry and NCC to make sure that the carnival again reaches and Tobago to whom it belongs. When it comes to the Flavor Village, again, I would like to draw everyone's attention to yesterday's Guardian, a flavorful carnival, which my vice chairman would have indicated we are over 300,000 persons would have visited this Savannah space. And that, again, was pure planning and innovation, both by the ministry and NCC. Visitors, citizens, you are all welcome, coming together safely and joyfully every night on this Savannah space. Now I'll take you to the Marsh Gras. The Marsh Gras is happening this Sunday. What is going to happen? This is basically the closing of the Savannah space, and we go into Carnival Monday and Tuesday. This year's the Marsh Gras is dedicated as a tribute to one of the greatest cultural figures our nation and indeed the Caribbean has ever produced, the legendary Mighty Sparrow, known to us as Slinger Francisco. A son of Lavantil, formed in the yards and tents of Port of Spain, Slinger Francisco rose to become what the world has welcomed as the Calypso King of the world. 8 Calypso Monarch titles, 8 Road March titles, 2 Calypso King of Kings crowns, a career of over 7 decades. 70 years after securing the first Calypso Monarch title in 1956 with Jean and Dinah, the song remains a defining cultural milestone. It not only earned him national acclaim, but also delivered a, a pointed critique of the most colonial social dynamics, firmly establishing Calypso as a vehicle for sharp, intelligent social commentary that the world command international respect for decades to come. And because of that, this the March Gras would be dedicated to our very own Slinger Francisco, the mighty sparrow. This Dimashqua is an opportunity as a nation to honor the man who gave his voice to our people, who used calypso as a tool for celebration and resistance, and who took the art form from the backyards of Laventille to the stages of the world. And in keeping with our commitment to return Carnival to the people, I am pleased to announce and confirm that the North Stand of the Queen's Park Savannah will be free of charge to patrons on the March Grand Night and also on Carnival Monday and Tuesday. That is the North Stand. When it comes to our Carnival experience, I'm asking everyone to partake, be safe, and have an enjoyable carnival. It is a bumper carnival because it creates opportunity, it creates safety, and it belongs to everyone. This government invested over $137 million into this carnival season. And to date, we have recorded over 3,000 jobs. These are not abstract figures. This is benefit that is hitting the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago directly. These are young people working. These are small businesses thriving and surviving. And we promise you, you will love this from the start of the season. And I know that you're enjoying this now. Thank you, and I await your questions.
Thank you very much, Minister Benjamin, and we congratulate you for your great work so far in delivering one of the best carnivals we've seen. I also take this time to acknowledge and thank for the courageous service so far the goal commander for this year's season, DCP Suzette Martin. We thank you very, very much for what has been a truly very safe experience thus far. We know you have a number of days ahead of you, and we wish you all the best and thank you so far. I'd like to bring on now the Minister of Defense, Minister Wayne Sturge, who will speak to you on a number of key issues as we approach the next few days. So, Minister Sturge.
Yes, good morning all, and big up to Suzette Martin, the goal commander. We all know of her competence, and we look forward to her delivery of a safe carnival. First up, let me deal with the issue of the beaches. My role in matters of security would be narrow. I'll address that after. Yesterday, Cabinet approved the expansion of lifeguard services to select unmanned public beaches. Of course, that would take some time to roll out. In the interim, we all know that we provide lifeguard services in the north at Maracas and Las Cuevas, in the south in Vesini, Los Euros, and and Queenam Beach, northeast in Toco, Sally Bay, and Manzan, and on the east coast, Mero, at Church Road, St. Anne's, Beaumont, Plaisance, Deus, Rabita, and Radix. We've expanded lifeguard services because there are quite a number of beaches which have over the years increased in popularity, and we have to take account of that. We saw quite recently a teenager lost his life a few days ago at one of the more popular but unmanned beaches, that's Grand Lagoon. And Cabinet has agreed to include Grand Lagoon as well as Bon Espoir and Mita River Point um, among the beaches due for expansion in terms of the provision of lifeguard services. And in the east, two more beaches, sorry, one in the east, Balandra, and one in the north, Tyrico. So in the interim, we all know that for the carnival season, many persons who do not take part in the festivities and the merriment would stay out on the coastline in the beach houses and so on and have a time at the various beaches. And as soon as the festivities end, the rest of us would converge upon these beaches, and it's usually not just merriment but mayhem. So with that in mind, for the next 7 days, it started yesterday and ends next Thursday, we have called out all of our lifeguard reserves. We've also increased strength by calling out a few of the lifeguards from the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard. We've also provided a couple of the smaller naval assets to patrol the east and southeast and along Moruga. Yesterday, we acquired 2 or 3, I think it was 3 jet skis to help us along the coast, the Mearu coast. Now, although there'll be an increasing number of lifeguards and we'll have assistance from the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard and we'll have jet skis and patrols and all that, we beg that you, nonetheless, those of you who go to the beach, practice water safety. Because when a current pulls you under, if the jet ski doesn't get to you in 2 minutes or 3 minutes max, what is a search and rescue would become a retrieval. So be aware of your surroundings. Some beaches, there are strong currents. They are known for their strong currents, undercurrents. And as we just saw with the teenager, Gabriel Nelson, you can be pulled under in waist height water or waist deep, whichever way you want to put it. So we ask that you practice water safety. There's safety in numbers also. We know quite a lot of people would like to avoid the crowd and they enjoy their serenity, but serenity sometimes can come at a cost, because if you are alone away from the crowd, you expose yourself to robbery, perhaps rape, perhaps worse. And if you find yourself in difficulty in the water, there's no one coming to save you. It is quite surprising at this stage in our existence, an island so small and surrounded by water, that a significant percentage of our population cannot swim. That's a sad reality. We hope in the long term to change that. So we ask that you practice not just awareness and to be your brother's keeper, but civility. We know that many people, for some reason, cannot have a good time without alcohol. Alcohol will impair your judgment. Alcohol would make you do things that you wouldn't ordinarily do. And you might want to be a hero and then you lose your life in the process. So we ask, again, that you practice safety. With respect to the crime, the TTDF, we are pleased to announce they are back up to strength in terms of numbers, and they have been and will be strategically positioned to allow for rapid deployment in partnership with the interagency task force, so that those who wish to misbehave, um, we are prepared for you, and you have a choice. You either behave yourself and enjoy the merriment, or we can provide over the long weekend state-funded accommodation, and I don't think the meals are great. In any event, there's one thing I'd like to touch on before I hand over to my brethren, Xander. Sorry, my colleague, Minister Alexander, who is responsible for Homeland Security. This is an issue. Every year we see things circulating on WhatsApp, and I fear it might get a little worse. I know that one band has provided their masqueraders with some toys. We ask that you leave the toys and the devices at home, and you can use them in the quietude of your home. Please do not use them in any public space. If you are caught, because there's CCTV, there's private cameras from people's buildings, there's an abundance of cell phones. If you are caught, you will be made an example of. So quite apart from the toys, I saw over the last few years persons in bands copulating in public. If you are caught copulating in public, you'll also be made an example of. There are laws to deal with that, whether it's copulating or engaging in acts of serious indecency, you will be taught a very hard lesson. The courts are ready for that. Also keep in mind, quite apart from the criminal penalty that you will be visited with, that you have a reputation and you have children looking on. So respect yourself. And I'll just close by saying practice responsible behavior. I don't want to ad-lib like my colleague from public utilities, but if I can borrow from Bojo Banton, rude boy, don't be silly. Yeah, because keep in mind, a box of condoms is far cheaper, and a box of Pampers might be the least of your worries, because you might have something that might stay with you for life, something debilitating. So I close with that, and I haven't been to, I heard Michelle talk about Panorama just now. That's very exciting. I haven't been to Panorama since 1998, so I might think about it tomorrow. I hope Future Pandemonium wins. That's if they still exist. It's a Belmont band. Anyway, that's all for me, and I look forward to your questions after, and I hand you over to my colleague, Minister Alexander.
Thank you very much, Minister Sturge. I just want to say that as the Member of Parliament from Mayaro, I am very, very grateful for the work you have done for us in the past week to ensure that our beaches are safe on behalf of the constituents. And we thank the Prime Minister as well for his input in this. Now I'd like to welcome the Minister of Homeland Security, the Honorable Roger Alexander.
Good morning, everybody. Morning to my colleagues, both ministers, members of the media, especially invited guests. Carnival is me, Carnival is you, Carnival is everybody in Trinidad and Tobago. It puts the citizens on display for the world to see. It also puts our security. They often look at what we can hold on or how we can manage this amount of persons in different parts of the island. Let me acknowledge the Gold Commander of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, Deputy Commissioner Ms. Suzette Martin, Deputy Commissioner Ms. Suzette Martin, and her efforts. Up to this time, we can safely say that we have enjoyed a safe carnival. To my colleague on the left, together with the NCC, I am of the opinion that they will go down in history for what we have seen displayed. Excellent. But someone very early on said that they were not hearing much about the Kiddies Carnival, and they often would notice that young children would stray from their parents and all of that. And my advice is, please place some sort of information on the young children playing mass or accompanying you, just in case they would have strayed, so that someone will be able to identify who the parents and a phone number if ever it happens. My advice to people: stay alert, obey the law. The police officers, accompanied by members of the defense force, they are not here to stifle the rivalry. They must be seen the Immigration Department, the ODPM, they're all on board because we want you to have a safe and responsible carnival. For those who intend, again, to break the law, the consequences is yours to bear. I just heard my colleagues speak about persons on the streets and their behavior. Remember, you can have fun, but keep it within the law. I wouldn't want the gold commander to be on the newspaper the following day addressing you, or she may have to address you because of your behavior. All right? I say no more this time. I hold for your questions with my colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister Alexander. I'd like to invite the Gold Commander, DCP Martin, for a few of her comments, especially on the great job she has been doing so far. So we welcome Gold Commander DCP Martin, Suzette Martin.
Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago, to all visitors gracing our beautiful shores. As we enter Fantastic Friday, the official launch into the Carnival weekend, I want to assure the national community and our visitors that the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service is fully prepared, fully deployed, and fully operational. As Gold Commander for Carnival 2026 and under Operation Secure the Vibes, our complete command structure, gold, silver, and bronze, is activated nationwide. Today, Fantastic Friday commenced with a series of events that attracted significant crowds, all of which were met with comprehensive operational preparedness by the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. The reenactment of the Carnival riots at 4 a.m. was effectively managed, with officers strategically deployed to ensure public safety and the smooth flow of activities. I commend law enforcement officers, patrons, and organizers for their cooperation during the early morning proceedings. Throughout the day, several additional events are scheduled, and we remain fully operationally ready to provide the necessary security coverage. This evening, we anticipate a substantial turnout at the Queen's Park Savannah. Our officers, supported by coordinated command structures and interagency collaboration, are in position to ensure that all attendees can participate in a safe and secure environment. The service engaged in extensive planning and proactive deployment strategies, and we look forward to a safe and incident-free continuation of Fantastic Friday celebration. As we transition into the remainder of Carnival 2026 activities, our enforcement posture remains firm. You will see increased high visibility patrols in Port of Spain and entertainment corridors. Strong police presence at the Queen's Park Savannah, zero tolerance for firearms and violent behavior, continued traffic and crowd management, sustained joint interagency coordination, proactive policing to deter criminal activity, intelligence-led deployments, and tactical teams. We urge patrons to continue celebrating responsibly, stay within designated areas, secure personal belongings, and follow instructions from officers on duty. We have also activated our Carnival 2026 QR code When you scan the QR code displayed on screens at event venues or on official TTPS platforms, you can access live road closure and traffic updates, view designated safe zones and police posts. You can access emergency contact information, get official Carnival advisories. This QR code places safety information directly in your hands. We encourage all patrons to scan it and stay informed. Fantastic Friday is about music, culture, and national pride. So enjoy the energy, enjoy the celebration. Please remember, TTPS is here and we will secure the vibes. The TTPS is present, prepared, and ready. Celebrate responsibly. Look out for one another. If you see something, say something. Scan, stay informed, stay safe. We advise better choices for a safer carnival. Our campers are also secured within the vibes. Do enjoy the sun and sea. Swim in designated areas. Never leave children unattended near the water. Secure your valuables. Avoid excessive alcohol before entering the waters. Respect lifeguards, officers, and fellow citizens. Let's keep our beaches safe, peaceful, and secured within the vibes. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Have a safe, fantastic vibes.
Thank you very much to our goal commander, DCP Martin. The ministers have a key meeting again to run off too, but before that, we just want to welcome some carnival-related questions based on this morning's press conference. So we invite members of the media. So I think Alicia, we go first.
All right, so my first two questions are for Minister Benjamin. Minister Marshall will be at Flavor Village tonight. I know that in terms of one of the incidents at the John Cupid Village, the TTPS had not the TTPS, the TTFS, the fire service, they had a capacity at which they can hold. In terms of the Flavor Village, do you have a capacity at which you cannot exceed? You would see certain infrastructure with regards to the flavor. So yes, we, as of yesterday, we would have expanded, we would have moved the stage, making more spaces to the sides. If you had visited before and you visit now, you'll see some structural changes as to some of the booths, giving way to more space inside. So we did some spatial reallocation. And that aside, given the capacity where we would have tried to facilitate between, say, 9 to 10,000, we would have erected screens around the village outside to add and plus create opportunities for the vendors on the drag. So although flavor does has its limitations this year, which we will address next year with regards to the capacity, we did put things in place to facilitate the mammoth crowd that we're expecting. And what size of a crowd are you expecting?
Given what we have seen in the past, and also that we would have bands, because we are prepping for large conventional bands, we are expecting the Savannah to have upwards of not just visiting flavor, but we also have FET on the Savannah space. We will cross 30,000 on the Savannah tonight.
Okay, 30,000 on in terms of the entire Savannah. What capacity are you expecting at Flavor in particular, given that Marshall is at Flavor?
I think we would maintain the figures that we would have seen thus far, which is average around 9 to 10,000 persons.
Okay, thank you. You mentioned the replacing of the reactive radios
I believe, $100,000 was channeled towards that. Would you be able to tell us how many radios that provided for as
based on the results from the event at Skinner Park. It's being said that a number of Calypsonians that usually get through to the finals, and those did not get threat that they had. So we want to know your response to that in terms of addressing claims that there is political interference.
I I would answer this question that question in this way. In the sense that if there is political interference, I would put that squarely on the opposition that like to feel that Calypso, Kaiso belongs to them. Calypso, Kaiso belongs to the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. I could tell you of instances where I have been verbally attacked. Going in these spaces, I have sadly enough, that some of the crosstalk that happens in Parliament, the general public is not purview to it. I could tell you the day before the fiesta that the said member for San Fernando East, that is, would have told me not to come in the fiesta space. And if I come in the fiesta space, then I have to be cautious. And given that it was my birthday, I went on the fiesta space because last time I checked, Trinidad and Tobago belongs to every citizen. Am I right, Honorable Minister? So when it comes to political interference, I could tell you that is not something that the United National Congress government, the government of today, the cabinet of today, we have not interfered. What we have done is greater facilitated every artist. We would have put everything in place. TUCO, as you know, is an independent body. They sit on the, as a stakeholder on the NCC board where they are privy to everything. They are at the table where the decisions are made, where the money is allocated. They have been there from the inception of the act. And at no point in time, when it comes to the UNC government of today, of the past, we are on record of giving the most funding to culture, even when certain artists would have won the 2 million, and that was underneath a United National Congress. So we are not on record as influencing. What we could say that we are on record every time we take office, we give good content to the Kaiso tents. And what I could tell you that would happen in the coming years is that I will put more effort into getting patrons back into the tent. What you should put focus on as media is assisting these various tents. If you visit them and they are government funded, most of them, whether it be from TUCO, because the government is the main sponsor or funder for TUCO, is that the art form, it needs help and it is dying because of certain things. But that is not from my side.
Good morning, everyone. Minister, to continue with the TUCO topic, we have an article in The Guardian today which speaks to the head of the organization, the president, responding to reports that a voice recording was circulating online, and in it, he was signaling his support for a specific contender that happens to be in the competition in the finals. Now, according to him, the voice note is legitimate, but that the recording was perhaps years ago, is what he said. Considering that the organization receives its largest government, are you looking at investigating any claims? You are saying there is no political interference. We have a recording that suggests that the head of the organization is having a particular contestant. Will you be investigating any of the claims from artists, because they are the ones voicing the concerns on the ground?
Before I answer this, heard the recording or read your article, could you state the artist that he wants to support?
I would rather not.
No, because then the question that you're asking me,
it's a female, but to me,
but could you state the artist? Because if you state the artist, then that will show on my side there's no political interference.
How so?
Could you state the artist?
Well, my job here is to ask the questions and you to answer them. And my question is whether you
and my job here is to provide the truth to the general public.
So will you be, the question that I asked, apart from whether there's political interference, is whether you will be investigating claims that there is some involvement of the president in terms of having a preference for a particular artiste as it pertains to the results being seen as fair for Calypso and Kaiso lovers, who, as you repeatedly said this morning, is for everybody, not just for one faction or the other. So will
the $6, $8, and $10 Gotta Have It meal deals, fresh sandwiches with fresh sourdough and fresh avocado and a fresh side. For fresh prices, the $6, $8, and $10 Gotta Have It meal deals. You just gotta have it.
In claims, I stand by even when questions came to my desk about the organization and the president, that it is an independent institution organization. Yes, it receives public funds, And once a complaint comes to my desk, I will treat with it. One has not. What I will also put on the record is what I have placed on the record before, is that NCC and the way we do business will change after this carnival.
The next question I have, the last time we were here, you spoke about the San Fernando Carnival and the judging that the chair of the San Fernando Carnival Committee said would be discontinued. You invited others to come to the NCC to see if there will be a judging element of the San Fernando Carnival. Has that happened?
From the moment we would have made that announcement, I cannot say that my chair or vice chair, and my vice chair is the chairman of the regional carnival committee, that they would have reported any such person stepping forward. But what I could tell you that we are monitoring the situation, and given NCC and my regional chairman, Mr. Kevin Gibbs, the commendation that they do deserve, that we have had meetings with all the regional carnival committees, and we stand ready to assist, even going above some of their commitments where we would have provided artists to go to their engagements. So once we get that ask, we will tend to it. We have not received that.
So as of now, the judging is still out of the window for San Fernando Carnival?
That I cannot say. I know I would have seen I believe your media house would have reported with regards to a meeting being held, and I think the organization is trying to treat with it. So I would have seen your media house reporting that. I can't remember the exact date, but again, I could get that back to you.
One more.
Minister, you would have mentioned the 3,000 jobs created over this carnival season. So would you be able to kind of elaborate a little bit on where those 3,000 jobs, I don't know whether flavor was included in the 3,000, so just some clarity as to where those 3,000 jobs emanate
In my
from.
last press conference, I would have given an idea as to what those positions are. So given that NCC is the facilitator with regards to the carnival, we are in the business where we have to provide ushers every time we have a function. So on a given day, we just discussed Fiesta. I believe for Fiesta alone, we had over 100 ushers out. When it comes to the Savannah space, given the amount of patrons that we have an uptake with regards to, well, ushers, cleaners on a daily basis, security. So apart from engaging TTPS and fire, we do engage private security. And what I would have met on the books is that NCC have a record of persons that would come out and do these services. So I did not change that. That aside, we have regional coordinators, we have regional field officers, persons that go out and tend to the regional carnival aspect of it. We would have created employment with regards to the vendor services. So it is a series of things, and as I said, I intend to make all of this known to the nation, what we would have done and what we would have brought to the national public, and what we would have utilized the allocation.
So you could chime in as well, right? Because your Minister Sturge, the question is directed to, but I also want to get your response, would have highlighted a trending topic right now, which has to do with a sex toy that was given in to tribe masqueraders in their goodie bags, right? Now, I know a lot of people laughing and it seems to be funny, but of course, it's a very serious matter in terms of how and when it's being used, right? So one, before I go to Minister Sturge, I just want to get from the Minister of Culture, your thoughts when you saw that tribe give that to their masqueraders. Were you surprised? And what's your advice to the female masqueraders?
I will treat with that question in this vein. I was raised by a reverend. My mother is a reverend pastor, and everyone has to be responsible for their actions. Given that tribe would have given that facility, that does not mean you have to utilize it. I am the Minister of Culture. I do not partake in alcohol beverages, and I am out in parties every night. So because you have received something, does not mean that you have to use it. We are all responsible adults, and we have to, as the Prime Minister rightfully said, have a good time, but be responsible. That is how I would treat with that question. And young ladies, be safe, respect yourself. Me having a religious mother and coming from a religious home, I was not limited to what I could participate in, what I could do, but following stern instructions. Respect yourself if you want others to respect you.
And Minister Sturge, you would have advised persons to leave this particular item at home, not to bring it with them on the road. And you also said, because of course there's CCTV footage, there may be persons with their personal cell phones recording. Once persons are caught, could you just address the public to let them know, in terms of the consequences and facing the law, what would happen when one is caught doing that or copulating?
I would hesitate to answer that. I think you can look at the statute books, offenses of serious indecency and so on, and the penalties they attract.
What sort of penalties do they attract?
Well, not the serious indecency. Serious indecency carries a higher jail time, but sometimes you can get a term of imprisonment. But of course, a lot of that depends on your record and so on. So if you're a first-time offender, you are less likely to. But sometimes courts would use you as an example, because that's part of the 5 sentencing principles, that you would use someone as an example so that you deter others from that sort of behavior in the future.
All right, okay. In terms of the lifeguards, you would have mentioned an increase in the number of lifeguards. If you could give us an idea how many it was increased by, because I know within the last 5 years, even since from the pandemic, we would have seen a major decrease in the number of lifeguards. We had lifeguards protesting and saying that they're just insufficient lifeguards to treat with how many persons would come to the beaches, especially during the carnival period. So if you could tell us how many lifeguards there are now. And
I don't have the note with me. I can say off the top of my head that for Mearu, we had 20, and there would be an increase of 9, the 9 reserves to take it up to 29, and then an additional 3 or 4 from the Coast Guard for Mearu.
Great. No, you don't have to tell you, but you could provide it for us in terms of the overall figure, right? Both you and Minister Alexander as well. Okay, so we're in the carnival season and we have a lot of persons making complaints, especially members of the opposition, in terms of the heli. Why was the army base, for example, used for a fete? If Ms. Alexander or Mr. Sturge would like to address that. Minister Sturge.
We took into account that we could manage the event and manage potential security issues, and in essence, we had no security breaches. We had enough things put in place in terms of surveillance, both human and otherwise, and there was never a risk. Now, one of the reasons we chose that space is there's a growing complaint about fetes taking place in residential areas and indiscriminate noise. There are elderly citizens, children, and so on, who suffer as a result. Now, it's all well and good to say it happens only once a year for a short season, but only when you are subject to it, and you'll know. Maybe you're young and you will enjoy it. I don't. I'm old. So that I wouldn't want that in my space. Particularly what passes for music these days. I don't want to hear it. But that particular venue, there's no residential area nearby. The boxes, from what I understand, how they were positioned, it would not have affected anyone, and it was generally safe. We should have made better use of it in terms of having roadblocks and so on, but we didn't want to cause mayhem. There were a number of lessons learned because
Such
it's not the
as?
first time that we've had sizable events down in the West. I remember in the 90s, I used to attend the Base nightclub and these other places. But Stink and Dirty is
Stink and what?
dirty.
What's the name of the fat, Minister?
Stink and Dirty.
Stink and dirty. That's what
Yes.
your song Minister says. Okay.
Or whatever it is.
The stink and dirty. fat.
Apparently it's one of the biggest fets. And
It's amassed over
I'm
17,000.
yes. So we'll basically have to rejigger how we do things next year. And we might even have to reconsider whether it's held there. We are looking for alternative spaces.
Yeah, but that was going to be my follow-up question. If in the future, if the helipad would be used for future carnival events, or you think totally scrapping that?
Well, we haven't had an opportunity just yet. I know what my colleague said. I mean, that's not impractical. I think he's onto something, but there are other factors. So it's not one person would make the decision. We'll have to collaborate. We'll see how best we can fix what isn't a repeat next year.
All right, okay, great.
I just have a question from K. Marie's question. It was also stated that funding for the funds received for utilizing the heliport for such events, those funds would go directly to the TTDF, the
Yes.
Defense Force. Would you be able to say then, for clarity, and what was the amount the heliport was rented for that particular event?
It was a lot, but it was a lot.
What is a lot?
It's a private contractual thing between an entity under a different ministry and the promoters. So I don't know if I ought to give that. Once I get permission to do so, because there are confidentiality issues, once I get permission to do so, I have no problem disclosing the amount.
Okay, Minister, would you be able to say what would be done to provide transparency so that the TTDF know exactly what it is to receive based on the amount that was the facility was rented out for?
You know, I think I take umbrage at that transparency thing. You are assuming that the TTDF was not involved in negotiating. You're assuming they were kept in the dark. Yes, at every stage they knew. We had to get their permission. We didn't just impose it upon them. We spoke with the CDS and others and asked whether it was a good idea and whether there were things that needed to be mitigated and so on. They took part in the planning and so on. All of the logistics, they had an active part in it. And the money, obviously, the TTDF has charitable events that they sponsor throughout the year, and the money is going to be put to good use.
Okay, thank you so much, Minister, for clearing that up, because when I was trying to get those answers from everybody involved, nobody actually wanted to
Well, no,
provide those
I think
answers.
the thing is a lot of people may not have known, right? But as the minister, I had a fair idea. I had discussions with CDS, Polo, and others. So we were basically aware of what was going on. But we also have to respect privacy and confidentiality issues in terms of the law.
I've been told that the cruise ship, they already need to see the three ministers. So I just ask you to pass it on to Minister Benjamin, who has to address something, and we could also have some interviews after the conference, but we don't want to keep our guests up on at this point in time waiting too long. So, Minister.
All right. It just goes back to with regards to Marshall being on the Savannah space tonight. I forgot to mention that we also have viewing party here at the grandstand and the north stand, also with regards to the VIP room. So the space has been opened up and we can handle the capacity of persons that we are preparing for, which is over the 10,000 persons.
Hi, good,
All right, so I'll say thank you.
hi, good morning, Sonolala, TDT News, Minister Benjamin. Just one question before you leave. I think you mentioned, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's 3.2 million spent on security for Carnival. Can you give us a detailed breakdown on, I know you may not be able to go in great detail, but a breakdown on basically what has been spent so far?
What you would appreciate is that given the size of the crowds that we would have seen from the opening of both Cupid Village and Flavor, we had to have certain meetings with TTPS and even the fire service, which meant we had more bodies out to make sure that security is in place. We also would have, so I won't be able to give you itemized what was spent where with regards to TTPS, fire. Also, we would have engaged, as I said, private security services for the nights that we cannot get the numbers from our traditional police force or fire service. What we also have done is, and this is something I think there's a person, an individual that has been working in this Savannah space for over 15 years, and that is Mr. Clyde Charles. Now, he's the head of the security when it comes to the Savannah. What we also would have done was improve the camera system so that when I could stand here and say that we have not lost a vehicle on this space is because we have cameras all over this system. We have private security persons that we would have created employment for that have been working in the Savannah space for over 20 years. And NCC engages them every time we're in the Carnival season. So all of that would have formed part of that spent, and that I would make known to the general public because it has been working. And I would have made a statement that government of today, ministers of today and of the past would come and make statements that we had a safe Carnival is because of the infrastructure that we have in the Savannah space.
The cruise ship that's on the way, that you are heading to just now, could you say how long it's here so far?
5 days, if memory serves me right.
And
5 days.
the accommodation on it?
Excuse?
The accommodation on it?
The capacity is for 2,000 guests.
All right, we just have the last question for Kimmery because the members really have to get there.
I just have one for Minister.
Excuse? Yeah.
Yes.
5 days.
I'm not sure if Minister Sturge or Minister Alexander or the Gold Commander could answer.
Though you see police officers on the streets, doesn't mean that they have not filtered in persons in communities, just in case. All right, so it's a normal thing. You see those in the streets, remember they call out everyone. And every division would have already given its Carnival structure 2026, which includes both protection for citizens, rivalry in terms of the Carnival, and also for residents.
Right. Kimmery, last question.
Well, I'm happy to see that the minister got an opportunity to answer. We had some questions for him. Well, I know you said last question, but you can't deny him getting to answer us for some questions very quickly. Yeah? But just about the immigration division, quickly, I just want to ask Minister Sturge before I got my last question for Minister. We saw really long lines at the Piaco airport. And I know there was supposed to be a new form, updated form for persons. So we just want to get an idea in terms of the digital embarkment forms, when it's expected to roll out. I know it was said that that's a priority for this year. And is the immigration division ready and fully staffed for the large number of persons we're expecting to come in this weekend for Carnival?
Minister Alexander is the line minister for immigration. I'm simply a minister in the ministry.
Okay.
To answer your question, we are treating with, presently, we have the old system with we are introducing some new systems as we speak, but that system will be introduced in its entirety in the coming weeks. So Right now, it's just some trial and errors. However, the new system will be rolled out in the coming weeks.
So members, at this time we asked if you could interview the ministers outside the press conference.
Okay, just my final question. Because,
Final, right? Yeah.
Okay, final question quickly. Minister, we know SOE has ended. There's no ZOSO bill at present. Just quickly, can you let us know what in terms of what's the anti-crime plan? What's next? What's the plan B? What can we expect?
What we can expect is the same thing we have been getting over the years. Now under different command. The commissioner and his team, and we have the gold commander, the police service at this time, together with all supporting agencies, will be performing their duties all over this country. Yeah? Some of them strategically placed in order to accommodate any situation that confronts them. As a result, as it relates to the crime plan, all is well.
Thank you very much, Minister. Thank you, members of the press. We wish you a very safe carnival. Thank you again.
Sí, señor. nations without any language barrier. Break it down, break it down, break it down. Hey! Caracas, Caracas. Ay, caramba. Not Venezuela. Not Venezuela. Not Venezuela. Watch me. If Trump wants a bomb, he don't need we permission. We don't have no say. Can't stand in his way. Some say he want the oil flowing under Venezuela. It's easy to tell. It's not about the drug cartel. Every day is insults and threats to anti-Kamala. Even declare her persona non grata. But the man blowing up your boat with weapon pointing right at your throat. It is really absurd to done all you not saying a word. So tell me who will be your protector if ever we are faced with a natural disaster. Tell me who is our strategic partner from the past, present, and foreseeable future. This is common sense, not artificial